Mennonites arrive in Manitoba, settle on the prairies, they create Zemlins, and then they have to start to rebuild their communities. And they do this quite quickly. So of course, the first step is to create houses because they don't want to live in those Zemlins for too long and not very comfortable. And then they find themselves, caught up in the pace of a developing province. And so initially they arrive and they're able to establish their own sort of self-government system, but not too long afterwards, the provincial government enters into their villages and starts asking, well, we actually want to have some municipal governments in place. And of course, this is exactly what they had experienced in Imperial Russia and one of the reasons why some of them had left. And so they start to have, try to think through, how will we do this? Some groups decide that they won't vote. They won't vote in any of these elections and they won't participate. And if they are voted onto these councils, they just won't show up. Others decide that this is actually a good opportunity and that they never really had a problem with municipal governments in Imperial Russia and they're happy to participate. So we have some divide that's taking place over that issue. There's also the issue of establishing churches. There's disagreements upon that as well. Some groups have a cohesive vision about what they should be, a relatively cohesive vision. Other groups are unsure. For instance, in the Old Colony Church, there are some who want to go back. They want to step back from some of the modernization processes that had taken place in Imperial Russia. Others were fine with those processes and want to keep going in that direction. Singing by numbers being one of the examples of this debate and controversy that was in Imperial Russia and starts up again in Manitoba. Economically, there's a little bit, perhaps less debate. Mennonites had always been engaged in the capitalist system. In Imperial Russia, they were very interested in selling their crops. This isn't subsistence farming. They are interested in being involved in the agricultural market, and the same thing happens in Manitoba. They get right into it right away, also developing different businesses that support agriculture, and then the trains will come into their communities. In some cases, they don't want this to happen, but they want access to railways because that helps for them economically, Steinbach being one of the examples of this. They don't want it in their community, but they want it close enough to their community. Other places, the train comes quite near, and they are able to utilize the train systems that are developing in the 1880s in order to export their crops and develop their agricultural businesses. And so there is a mixture of Mennonites attempting to deal with the same issues that they had addressed, they had been exposed to in Imperial Russia, but also in a new context and with a new government.